there, everyone. Jake Sirota here, and welcome back to this week's episode of Ranking Secrets from Authority Builders. Now, in this week's episode, we're going to be talking about predictions for 2026. Basically, what's going to impact rankings next year. And this isn't going to be generic AI will change everything advice, but we're actually going to be talking about real shifts in search engines and AI systems and how they're choosing who to feature, who to trust, and who to ignore. So make sure to hit like and subscribe and stay tuned for everything that we're doing here on Authority Build. Right now, a lot of SEOs can agree that we're in a weird transition phase. Search engines are still heavily relying on the traditional things like backlinks, authority, depth of content, but AI-driven results are pretty much changing the game. They're starting to bypass individual pages and they're starting to pull from broader brand signals across the internet. So that means that rankings in 2026 are going to depend a lot on your personal, less on your isolated pages, but more on your entire digital footprint and how that supports your user's intent. We're already seeing this in AI overviews being returned on a lot more Google searches and engines like Perplexity and ChatGPT breaking into the market. They're surfacing brands that aren't necessarily ranking in the top 3, but they have cleaner signals across the web and clearer topical authority. So now that we have a little bit of a lay of the land, let's jump right into prediction number 1. Prediction number 1 is that topical identity will matter way more than your individual pieces of content do right now. So right now, you can get away with having tons of different scattered focuses on your website across different themes. And in 2026, that's definitely going to die off, in my opinion. Search systems have already been changing towards brand-level topical authority, and AI is just going to catalyze that. So what wins now is deeper content clusters, constant topical coverage, pages that are interlinking with purpose, meaning you are linking to pages that make sense for a user to go to, and then expert content roundups with good first-party data that establishes you as the authority. So really all this means is instead of SEOs asking themselves, hey, how do I rank this page for this keyword? It becomes more about, hey, how do I become the answer and the authority for this topic? It's really all about brand building. So prediction number 2 mainly has to do with UX metrics and how they're becoming increasingly important as ranking factors, not just retention factors. So things like click-through rate, bounce rate, time spent on page, we already know that Google cares about these things, especially considering the data that we got from the Ranking Signals leak. We know that they're keeping track of these things, and as AI search continues to grow, we know that these things are going to become even more important. So in 2026, we'll see UX become a direct visibility lever. You need to make sure you're having better accessibility on your website, fewer intrusive UI elements like pop-ups that are hard to close, faster onboarding to information, and then also cleaner navigation so that not only people can find your content, but AI agents can as well. So models prefer sites that make information easier to find for their crawlers and for users. And that's what's going to succeed in 2026. So prediction number 3 is pretty much already coming true, in my opinion, but really it has to do with the fact that AI citations are becoming a almost parallel or adjacent visibility channel. Right now, I think SEO is kind of splitting into 2 camps, and that's people who are continuing to focus ranking on Google because that's where revenue is coming from. And then there's a lot of people who are focused on being referenced in AI-generated answers. Now, both are important and both are overlapping, but they're not necessarily identical. So AI models reward clean brand data, strong equity links, consistent facts across platforms, like across your social media channels and your GMB and your website as well. And then also third-party credibility by building good editorial backlinks. So that's why smaller brands with good PR and consistent structured data sometimes will outperform huge brands when it comes to getting cited by models like Perplexity or ChatGPT. So if you're only focusing on organic search, you might be leaving some traffic on the table. So this is exactly why the team here at Authority Builders is focusing more on digital PR strategies whenever we're going out and building backlinks for our clients. The authoritative editorial placements are doing wonders for rankings, and they're helping our brands get cited in AI searches way more often than compared to not getting those backlinks. So it's not just because the link counts matter, it's really about where those links are coming from. They're coming from credible sources that people actually use, meaning they're verified signals that search engines and AI models alike are going to pick up on. So it's important to remember that brand mentions and links aren't just ranking fuel anymore. They're really identity signals. They help prove that your brand exists, prove that you should be trusted and is worth citing, quoting, or mentioning whenever it comes to AI responses. That's the future of search. Okay, it's time for this week's portion of 60 Seconds in SEO. So here's your rapid fire summary to go over everything that we covered in this episode so far. 1, you need to make sure that you're building topical authority and not just random content. Instead of just putting a blog up so that you can rank for a keyword and get traffic, don't do that. Make sure that your content is actually helping people and you're interlinking to other portions of your website. This is going to be what helps Google and AI models establish you as the authoritative entity in this space. The other thing you need to remember is that UX is shifting from nice to have to mandatory. If you want AI to recommend your brand, it needs to be easy for people to use and for AI agents to use. The other thing to remember is that AI citations are becoming a major traffic channel for a lot of brands. But does that mean it needs to completely unearth your regular SEO strategy? Not necessarily. And the last thing to remember is that PR, structured data, and consistency are carrying way more weight as we move into 2026. So that's about all that I have as far as our predictions go for 2026. So in summary, 2026 is going to reward brands that think bigger than just rankings and keyword volume. They're going to reward brands that prioritize authority, consistency, clarity, and experience. That's what's mattering more as we move into 2026. So if you build around those, you won't just survive the shift in the search landscape that we're seeing. You'll actually be leading it, and you'll be showing up above your competitors. So make sure to drop a comment. Tell me more about which predictions you think are right or wrong. And if you have predictions of your own, make sure to hit like and remember to subscribe, and we'll see you next week. Cheers.